Welcome to the Pump Rules Podcast, the show where cast and connoisseurs come to talk all things Vanderpump Rules. It's an exciting day on Pump Rules Podcast because we not only have Tom Sandoval in the house, but also DJ James Kennedy.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Welcome.
Pleasure to be here today.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We've had a long and storied not pass together because we've had a couple incidents on Twitter and Instagram, I think, but just like with Jax.
I'll give you a couple.
Yeah.
Give you a couple.
Some blocking.
A little bit of blocking, a little bit of gay BFF upset.
No, really? I honestly
forgot
don't
about
remember.
that.
Yeah, well, it was in the heady days of 2 seasons ago, I think.
Wow.
That it all
Wow.
started.
I
Rest
just
in
taken
peace.
the wrong way.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, here we are. I actually feel good vibes.
Yeah.
I feel nothing but good vibes.
Yeah, good. Well, same here. Absolutely.
Maybe
yeah.
it's this comfy couch.
It is. The comfy couch helps a lot. And then
Yeah.
we only have to put in 20% good vibes and it works out.
I like that. I like that.
So actually, why don't we start back then? Because a lot of people, one of the main questions they had, even Brittany actually asked you this when we were all here. You guys are friends, and a lot of people are surprised at that sometimes, even still, because of the way things went with you guys in the beginning. So if we go back, cast your mind back to the origin story of James and Tom.
Oh, wow. Wasn't expecting that one.
Well, I'm going to take a drink of my beer there for a second.
It helps to cast the mind back.
When James started, we, became friends, talked about music and stuff like that. And shortly after my band, Pierciero, kind of broke up,
Yeah.
me and him started working together. And then, he was going to move in. And then obviously all that stuff happened with, Kristen and him and whatnot.
I'm not familiar with the story.
Yeah, and
Oh, Lordy. I'm pretty familiar with the story.
it definitely didn't make things easy, that's
Sure.
for sure. And,
Yeah.
and me and James had gotten close during that point in time. But, there was a good year or so where we definitely really didn't get along that well. And
Shit. That's crazy. That seems crazy to me. It was a crazy time, though. And, I will say that as shady as it was, or like what I did was, Kristen really was. It takes two to tango. Let's just say that,
Yeah,
So
it definitely wasn't 100%. It
pushing
definitely
it.
wasn't like all James's fault. It definitely wasn't all Kristen's fault either. But yeah,
Someone say in this situation it might take 3 to tango.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Hey, In Pump Rules situation, it takes 8 to tango. I think. I mean, Jesus. I think everyone's tangoed with everybody so far.
But I think after a while, with anything, it just takes energy to be pissed at somebody and to hold a grudge, especially when you're around them all the time.
Sure.
Kind of the similar thing with Jax as
Yeah.
well, After everything kind of settled down, after him and Kristen broke up, and I don't know, it just kind of worked itself out. I think I just stopped caring really about it.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted to move on, and James has come a long way, and I think after a while I started to see that people were kind of provoking him in a lot of ways, and I started to feel bad, feeling like James didn't really have an ally. And at times, it kind of goes back to, even
This is literally my first podcast I think I've ever done in my life, so it's just trippy me listening to this in my head. It sounds so clear, and I'm just holy shit. Anyway, go on.
no, even with, Lala on this reunion, a lot of people hit me up on Twitter. Not a lot of people, but some people were like, how can you, have Lala's back when it came to, the Katie and Stassi and her going back and forth. And really what it comes down to is I never have anybody's back unconditionally.
Okay.
And I think that when people put you in a situation where it's really hard to have their back, that to me is fucked up.
Yeah, and they think that what he just said is fucked up, right? Which is crazy, because it's like they would. I get the whole girl code, boy code, guy code, whatever it is, right? But there's a line, okay, and especially when you're doing a show like this, it's basically these 3 girls will go to the end of the earth. So to answer the first question that you asked about Tom and I's relationship, is it's been so long since that happened that every time we see each other, it's good vibes. We say hi. We've worked on our relationship as mates.
Yeah.
And, compared to what some of the other cast members have done to each other, it's really nothing. like in this big ocean of.
Well, it's not nothing.
It's not nothing. No. But it's definitely not the first time it's happened. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, everyone can move on from a falling out.
Hey, me and Jax even kind of like patched things up over a reunion, which was, you know, if you asked me this question a month ago, was it a month ago we filmed it? I don't know.
Like
2 months ago.
months ago.
Yeah, I would have been like, that will never happen. Like, it's just impossible. And we literally got there, like to the sound like set, and it was like our pictures up on this wall of who's sitting next to each other. And I was just like, what the hell? James, Jax. And I was just like, this is crazy. And then I came up first, and then Jax came in a little bit later and saw it. And I was just waiting. I was like peeking in the corner, waiting for him to read it. Because he flipped out. He was like, fuck this. What am I next to Brittany? I'm going to knock him out. Like, it was so intense.
Yeah.
But it kind of backfired on him.
Well,
not on him, but on them.
I think on them.
I think
yeah,
production
definitely.
kind of, they wanted to put you guys almost together to see if it would create something, but I feel like it backfired in the most interesting and even entertaining way.
Yes.
Well, I think also for future purposes as well.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm on a texting basis with Jax.
No, I didn't think BFF was the category for you and Jax, but
because we're just honestly, we live different lives. You know, when we're filming during summer and it's and everyone's out and about drinking and it's like the vibe, you know, that's when we see each other most, you know, and that's when we're pretty much at like the same parties, because after work people go to the same bars. But like, you know, when we're not filming, you know, Jax is doing his thing and I'm doing my thing, and it's cool, you know what I mean? And it's good breathing time, I think.
Yeah,
because
I think we all kind of like, you know, we all take our trips, decompress, so you see the family,
right?
You know, you know, me and Ariana always pick at least a couple places we want to go that we haven't really been, or things that we want to do. So, you know, that's why it's good though, because, you know, otherwise I feel like we would just go crazy.
Now,
he's like, it's good though, because, you know, otherwise I think I'd go fucking insane. Like rocking in the closet.
You know, I go on a murder spree, so it's good I have that trip to, you know, Breckenridge. It's nice to get away.
You guys agree though that like I have always, that's why I take every situation, I look at every situation, and you know, to get back to what we were talking about a little, you know, a second ago, I saw certain situations where I felt like James wasn't in the wrong, and maybe like my friends maybe were a little bit, and I started to see both sides, and I really like to do that because I don't want to feel like I'm on the wrong side of you know, what's right, if that makes sense.
Sure, wrong side of history.
I don't know, like, I don't want to.
That's real deep.
I mean, to me, that's what's important is you know, believing in what's right, and you know, looking at every situation in that way.
Well, we'll say that we've talked about this a lot, that you're a passionate defender of the underdog in whatever situation it is. And now sometimes that might put you in a bad position, especially if the person, say like a Lala, right? Say that if you were staunchly defending Lala and then it turns out that maybe she wasn't as supportive to you. This is sort of just like a hypothetical. Yeah. That sometimes your passion for justice can sort of do you in a little bit.
Yeah, and that could be the case. And here's the thing. To me, you know, why I kind of got, you know, why I sort of kind of spoke up against Katie and Stassi and Kristen mostly was because, not that I felt like Lala didn't do anything wrong. She definitely did. But Lala definitely took it upon herself to take responsibility for those things. And she tried to apologize, and she knew she had screwed up. And my biggest thing is that, like, those girls hadn't really taken any accountability. They were playing the victim. They're like, oh my gosh, like out of nowhere, Lala is like saying these really mean and hurtful things. And I'm like, guys, let's be fucking real here. Like, you started it.
What is the timeline? Because what it seemed like is that Lala was given the chance, you know, of going to the sort of like making peace, having her at the engagement party. Yeah. And then there was an upset there. She made a scene, and then that no one sees each other until the OK Magazine party, which is actually a nice way to dovetail into the OK Magazine party. On the reunion, James, you said that you were provoked at the OK Magazine party before you guys started saying things about people's weight and summer bodies and all that. So in terms of timeline and who provokes who, tell us what maybe we didn't see at the OK Magazine party.
I'll lead up to that point. Like I said, I'm always protective of anybody new coming in. You know, even when it came to James initially, and with Lala, you know, of course I'm gonna like, and immediately, you know, I knew Lala was lying about her like modeling job and all this other bullshit, you know. But as time went on, I'm like,
he actually called that out first.
I did
thought she was
actually.
telling the truth.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I knew it immediately. I mean, I had modeled for 15 years.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's like, all right, we get over that, and it's like there's it like became this thing of like all this hating on Lala and shade being thrown away. Like her and Faith both had their tops off at in Hawaii, but it's like you didn't hear anything about Faith. Nobody gave a shit about Faith. It was only about Lala.
Well, she was leading her kind of. You can kind of see Faith being like, "I'll do it too," because I'm literally kind of attaching myself to.
That's
which
the
would
shot
look like.
they decided to show.
Yes,
but who knows? Like I wasn't there because Max got into that accident.
Right.
So it's like I stayed back and chilled. But
I know that there was shit being said on social media after, like, up to the wedding. Like, we all go out at times and make asses out of herself. Lala definitely made an ass out of herself. I think that was probably the most wasted I've ever seen Lala.
Was
at Katie's engagement party.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
The funny thing is the things that she was saying, and I get it, like it was definitely rude, but the funny thing is that she was literally taking the words right out of my mouth.
Ooh.
I mean, like,
wait, what did she say again?
Yeah.
well, she was telling Kristen and Stassi to like wrap it up because they were like literally rambling on and on and
Classic.
on and on
Classic.
and on and on and on and on. And like, I got Kristen up here.
Yeah.
And one of the things it like irked me is I have Kristen up here, doing this big speech about how she's pretty much responsible for Tom and Katie like being together and where they are. And I'm like, bitch, you tried to fucking break them up. I'm like, I don't need to hear a fucking 10-minute long speech about how like you're the matchmaker, like they owe you. Like she didn't necessarily say they owe her, but like she was like,
Kristen was one of those people that was like, she's like not sure if she's invited, and then she gets like a word of it, and then she takes that for like everything it is and more, and sucks all the fucking blood there is out of that, and then creates this whole thing that it went from like not sure if I'm invited to I'm making the fucking Queen's speech at this fucking shindig. It was just ridiculous.
Well, because weren't they like
they were not invited.
Well, no, I know. I was going to say
they were by Lisa, but they were invited by Katie.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I mean, at the moment that Lala disrupted it, though, it is like a rude thing. You really can't really. Most boring thing that's going on, you just gotta go be like, Jesus Christ, this is horrible. But
what people didn't get to see is that Lala was like telling me like saying that to me really quietly, but it's like, I'm gonna fucking say something. I'm over this shit. I'm gonna say something. And I was just like, go on.
It was kind of,
and
it was crazy.
It was hilarious.
it was a drunken outburst. It was way wrong of her to do it, but
anyway, Ken was behind me, and then after
Ken
she
was
said
kind
it,
of provoking.
He goes. I just like felt him behind me, just like, oh my god! I was just like, yes.
Ken definitely. I heard Ken kind of provoking Lala to say something.
Yeah.
But look, it's a drunken outburst. Yeah, it was inappropriate, but it's not.
It
wasn't.
I can see Ken goading someone on. By the way,
Yeah, he's got that little pinch of picture.
Come on.
He loves that.
Oh, it's
so good.
But it wasn't it wasn't the end of the world, and it wasn't like.
Sure, it wasn't the end of the world, but terms of
it's from then on it was just like a shit talk fest back and forth, and I know Lala said some really fucked up things.
But from what I understand, there wasn't much back and forth on social media. Mostly one direction stuff about Katie and her weight, et cetera, et cetera.
I know Katie definitely said some shit. I know she did. She definitely tweeted things. I saw it, but I mean, I'm sure Lala said like way worse things. Either way, there was shit talking back and forth, and then that became, a witch hunt. I'm just saying, like, either way, like, previous season 4, Lala really tried, besides that point where she, like, kind of fucked up, she kind of, like, went out of her way to try to become friends with these girls and try to be nice, and she was just, like, kind of, like, giving shit on, like, breathing, like, anything that she did, whether it was a bathing suit she was wearing, whether it was, like, a trip she's taking, whatever she was doing, she was constantly giving shit.
Yeah.
She was definitely getting the short end of the stick between the whole her and Jax situation, which was obviously a lot of Jax's fault, and
she was the easiest person to hate on, basically. Their girls had nobody else.
They had a target painted on her, and what I'm saying is what came out of that is like for you guys, showing up to that OK Magazine party. There had been a lot of shit talked on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think James, I'm pretty sure what my understanding, because Adam does the party.
Yeah.
And initially that James and Lala kind of thought that like, the Vanderpump Rules people are given one table at the party.
Right.
Yeah. So they went up to the table. Basically,
So what happened?
I should have realized I was special enough to have my own damn table, honestly. But I didn't at the time. I walk in and it's basically like, now that I look back, I see clearly that was my table that I should have gone to first. But I honestly didn't think that. So I thought I had intentions in my head, like this table is as much mine as it is yours. So if you're not going to, and I did say like, hi guys, like what's up? Just
you did. I watched it actually again recently.
Because I knew what they were going to do. And I'm going to pour myself a drink, because it's just like, I'm at the party. I didn't even think I was going to get there. And like Lisa said, let me go early that night, I think. And, I was excited to have a good time. But yeah, I should have known there was not. And if I hadn't known, I would have just gone to that table and just like not started shit.
I feel like the fact that it was just your presence, you and Lala's presence at their table provoked the like, you guys are not welcome here, blah, blah, blah. That was the first thing that was said.
It was the first time that the group saw you and Lala, I think, since filming before it ended in the summer, right? So it was like all these tweets.
That was like the first
stuff.
episode.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, we haven't seen you in months. And all we can think of is all the negative tweets that Lala had sent out.
Well, I actually see them. Like, I see them. So it wasn't really that long. It was just... They were waiting for us to arrive, after a few drinks. It's just like, yep, they're here. Like, it's like, let's go. And then James had the decency to walk over here when they knew in their heads that I had somewhere else to go, but I didn't. See where the miscommunication is? Yeah, so that's what happened.
My biggest thing is I just called them out on the like, you guys got to take some accountability for like, shit talking, because you did a lot of shit talking from the get-go.
Yeah, whatever. Shit talking.
And no, I know. I'm saying with Katie, Stassi, and Kristen. And if Lala had come on and said like, "Oh, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing," blah blah blah, then that would have been a different story. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing is it wasn't the case. Lala apologized, tried to apologize numerous times. And
what do you think of Katie saying that she wasn't emotionally ready to accept that apology, and then starting a little dialogue?
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. I literally was like, I was starting to well up at that moment. Like, I was very touched by that. I thought it was a really good move. I don't know,
yeah, I think it was good to clear the air, but I think also different perspectives on it, because somebody did one thing or somebody provoked somebody. I feel like it's difficult to kind of, one person always saying I'm the victim or vice versa. So I'm glad that everything is kind of
that's bullshit.
Put
that's
aside.
Always, you know what I mean?
But there's
when
so
someone
many
does that, it's just fucked up.
There's always something else happening, or like there's a part of this I feel this way because of this reason someone else did. But when there's
Tom doesn't do that. That's his main point. That was his main point. He doesn't do that. I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and just like be a victim because I can be right now. You know what I mean? And that's basically just all the shit that happened. Lala, she really got like ganged up on, and for someone that did go through that, also like she played the victim, sometimes, but not with that actual situation with the girls being mean to them. She didn't like cry about it, like she talked about her past and getting bullied and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, you know what I mean? She came close, but I still don't think she was playing a victim.
Well, that was definitely trending in the victim
there's a little
realm,
bit too much of the sympathy role, I think, that came out on,
because there's some automatic things. You drop a card saying, "Oh, my anxiety is really going up right now." I mean, right. I've read a bit about it, crippling anxiety, and if you have crippling anxiety, it generally prevents you from walking out onto a stage, like to film, or at least
I get that. I mean, there was some things I said to Lala that definitely didn't make it into the reunion.
A lot of stuff that you did say though was kind of impactful about Lala. Yeah. Well,
and that's the thing too, is like, what I wanted to say earlier is like some, I'm not saying I think this, but about Katie's apology, some people might say that it, that her that motivation, it might have been motivated by, how much shit she got for, thanks for the beer, how much shit she got on social media about the stuff with Lala.
Well, couldn't you also say that about Lala's apology back during the regular body of the season?
Not so much, because nobody had seen the show yet, and nobody like.
No, I mean more apologizing because of sort of the general feeling, sort of the backlash that you might be getting, whether it be on social media
or
in
with
the group.
coworkers and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It might have happened okay without the involvement of Sheena's role in it. I think that kind of made things more complicated. Her making it seem like, oh, you're so mad that I hang out with Lala, when could be part of that, but then also it's possible they were just mad because she always gets way into rumors and gossip, as most people do, but then that vibe, like she's excusing herself that she didn't really do anything and then kind of throwing them under the bus a little bit.
I agree with that.
And actually, I want to ask James about Sheena as well, because you worked with Sheena on Shake That, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember, I think Kristen had told us that didn't really go so well, that session. You guys had some troubles with that, like there was a verse that was pulled out or something.
Your lyrics were too good for her.
Kristen said that?
I think so, yeah. She said that.
I don't know.
I don't
Kristen
remember
wasn't
that,
there that day. Was she?
Well,
No.
and we see you guys talking about the song on the show.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so we can move past that.
Season 2?
Yeah, but I want to get back. But we haven't talked to you before, though.
Shake That. I wrote and produced that track. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool one. Yeah,
It was good.
And I'm only mainly getting to that to move on throughout, sort of to go through your history with Sheena, because
I brought her up, so.
Yeah, you brought her up, and I'm thinking, it's a perfect time to get into Sheena and your relationship with Sheena, because you guys were working together.
I mean, we've been through our ups and downs, obviously, but I was at karaoke with her last night. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's not so much about whether, she's good or bad. It's just more that you guys have had, an actual working relationship, like you guys started to have, you and Tom. And I was curious about what happened with Shay F. Kennedy, because you guys were sort of doing something with Shay.
Okay, so basically, like, Sheena at the time was just like, I'm having fun. I think this is the thing. Like, honestly, I'm just going to talk truths because that's what I do. So she goes, like, okay, like, the show's doing well. Like, I'm going to do this fucking music thing and have fun with it. And, who knows? It might be a hit. It might not be.
Yeah.
Some of this shit blows up. Some of it doesn't.
Right.
And it's like, she has fun with it. She always did her thing. And if you ever asked her, she'd just be like, I'm not a fucking pop star, but I'm just doing it because it's just something to do. And it's fun. And it's like bubblegum, like at the boys with the table getting tipsy. It's dude, like, it's all just fun and games. But, she had fun with it. And, even though she doesn't do it anymore, like, it was fun at the time. And Shay F. Kennedy, honestly, I was just like, I love making music. I just love making beats and like writing music. So I can do it with pretty much whatever. And it's like,
maybe Jax, perhaps.
If I had honestly though, if I get an opportunity to make music with anybody on TV, I probably would take it, just because that's just the way.
Yeah, you got to get yourself out there.
Yeah, it's just a good thing. So it's like, hey, I'm making Shake That 1 second, and I'm making Pump Sessions the next year with Max in the studio. And then,
what happened with Shay F. Kennedy? It just like fizzle out.
Shay F. Kennedy, I mean, Shay went through his own personal thing. He didn't like ever talk to me about that. It wasn't like something we would open up on. So it's like we made music, we hung out, but we weren't like bros that he'd call me with problems. So he kind of disappeared, and with that, Shay F. Kennedy disappeared. But
Shay does kind of like sort of ghost a little bit.
So like basically what happened recently in his relationship is like a grand example of kind of a pattern that exists in other relationships.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's been times where I've tried to no. There's been situations where I've really tried to reach out to Shay and talk to him, and because I want to be there for him, because at times I feel like he is like really intimidated by this whole group, and then especially last year with his life like being out there and all this stuff going on. I wanted him to know that, like, he can tell me things I'm not gonna like tell Ariana or Sheena or anything, which did happen. There were many things we talked about that have never seen the light of day, and I always wanted him to know that, like, he had somebody he could trust that was also on the show and a friend. Because all of his like best friends are like, obviously his cousins, brothers, and like people that he grew up with. Obviously they're way closer than me and him, but I just wanted them to always feel like comfortable and not alone.
Yeah, of course. You want
especially
to make sure
with going through that situation. But anyways, real quick to get back to Lala again.
Well, no, that's fine. Yeah, I was about to bring her back up too.
Jesus
No.
Well, because I'd like to talk about your relationship with her too. But let's do this because I found that interesting.
There were, obviously I kind of like, tore hard into Katie about the accountability, but also, I tore into Lala a lot about like her shit. Obviously talking about, that we put ourselves out there, James included, like we all put ourselves out there, and it's just not fair for you to be here and be doing this. you know, Stassi said the same thing, and I agree with her, and that's why. And I even made a comparison to, you know.
Is that your blood pressure monitor?
No, it's Ariana.
I think it's good you brought that up, because it's not to call her out, but you know, there's a lot of lies that she's telling, and then
and
then
she
when
also
she gets caught out, she gets like enraged.
What
and
lies?
She seemed to.
What lies?
She seemed to get the whole situation.
Trying to make
with
up
her,
a story as an excuse for
with her ghosting
accusations.
on Ariana's birthday. Like, that was complete bullshit. We saw her out at, you know, Jesse's performance with a guy. She was totally just like, didn't feel like going. She thought it might be a little uneasy, even though I told her like fucking numerous times, like, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
and like, just to sit on that one for a sec, I thought that it was really lame when we saw on the show that she's like, everyone's out at drinks or something, like a day or two before the trip.
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of like talking about the weather. But didn't Jack say like how angry he was that I was coming on the trip, and everyone's kind of like, no, we didn't really mention you.
No.
And eventually she's saying it so often that you guys clearly are pissed, and you're like, that's not happening. And like, this thing that you're talking about is not happening.
Good example of her playing a victim, pretending that she had a personal problem, decided not to go, but she keeps trying to make it because she is like afraid of Jax, which wasn't really the case.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not the case.
And,
She didn't.
And it seemed to me like, okay, you don't want to put yourself out there or reveal your life, but you want to sort of tangle with others in this sort of semi-fake way.
Yeah.
And that, to me, looked like an example of it.
Exactly. And to me, that's not cool. And to me, like, anytime you rob us of content for the show, I get really fucking pissed off.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
because, you know, James, everyone that's been on the podcast has said in the wake of the whole Lala thing, you know, even at the most, when they were at the most annoyed with you or had previously been, like, say, Jax or whoever, we have our issues with James, but James fully gives of himself on the show, unlike Lala, you know, so.
And that's the thing, too. And that's another reason why, you know, when people, you know, there was this thing, you know, I don't even know if James was even like aware of this, but I know like Kristen and other people were like really trying to like basically disclude you from everything and get you kicked off the show.
We're going to sink James, pretty much, just sink him. Like,
and I'm like, dude, no, you're not, because there are good things about James, even though I've been through the ringer with him, but also like, he's great television, and like, you guys are idiots. I you know, here, I don't wish anybody to be kicked off the show unless they're like, even when me and Kristen were at our worst, I would never like want her like off the show, because at least she puts herself out there.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is if somebody's going to like fucking try to come in and fuck with our lives and then like not give any of their own, like that's where I have the issue. I told Lala, and I don't think it made it into the reunion episode. She talked about, she kind of started to play a little bit of a victim. Like, she's like, I get this anxiety, and I get like, you don't even know like how much like whatever. And I'm like,
we have an insult to people who actually have debilitating anxiety.
I'm like, dude, okay, fine, Lala, you have anxiety, but like, I have anxiety too, and so does everyone else. You don't think for a fucking second that we don't all show up to like film and talk about our lives and not feel like we're literally gonna puke at any fucking second. Like, dude, like, we have way more put out there than you do, and I don't need to hear your fucking sob story. I laid into her. And then I told her right before she left, she went around and said something about every single person. Yeah. Obviously, for time, they can't keep all that shit in.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, now, Lala, I'm going to say something to you before you leave.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you decide to come back here on our fucking show, I'm like, you don't start playing for the team and then just like quit 2 weeks later or ghost and stop showing up for the fucking games when we're all showing up. I'm like, you have to show up, you have to fucking, you know, commit, and you have to put yourselves out there the way we do. Otherwise, don't fucking come back. So I told her, I was like, don't fucking come back.
I back up Lala on her shit. Like, that girl's honestly one of my best mates. So if she wants to do a thing and doesn't want, she signed up for the show, okay? Whoever she's with didn't. If they didn't work at SIR, then they didn't sign up for it. So I get that's her reaction. That's her counter to you, you know. And that's just two people that feel two different ways, you know. At the end of the day, I think that like Lala had her reasons. Obviously, her walking away from the show like upset me a lot, because she was my only friend and like ally that I could like have lunch with. Like when me and Tom hang out, it's because like we can't go to lunch with everybody because I'm not invited. But so you know what I mean? So it was just like something like a big part of the show for me is now gone.
Yeah.
And it was like, fuck. And normally with mates, like on the show, you stick by them and you're like, I'm not going to leave you in the dirt halfway through the fucking season. It was just like, I kind of just felt bad about that.
Yeah.
Like personally, but everyone like that watches the show from an outside perspective, like I couldn't even imagine what other people think because I'm not them.
Right.
So that's just the way I saw things.
So, and to that, I also thought watching it that she wasn't the best friend to you
that you were to her.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. Well,
so.
But I mean, specifically when you're trying not to drink and you're experiencing the delights of ice cream, she kind of, she was a little.
Gotta love that ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the reunion, you have a great line about something to do with Stassi and Katie, but you go, and that's the cherry on top of the sundae. My impression of you is much better when you're not in the room, by the way.
Okay.
Jane, Tom,
I like it though.
Tom can attest to this.
Yeah.
But even then, I was like, see, the ice cream, it's in his mind now. But when you have her over and she's kind of like goofing on you for having the ice cream, because also it looked maybe like Lala enjoyed having you be the kind of drunken mess guy that was in trouble.
No, I don't think so. I just think that's how it came off on camera. I mean, she's not like, if like she doesn't think of me as a drunken mess, because like when we get drunk together, we're both, if that's happened, then we're both the drunken mess, and we're stumbling down the street together. So it's just more funny. Like we're just mates that like just do that shit. It's like not so intense. Like, oh yeah, I missed the fucked up James because. But yeah, I do understand on your sense. Like she wants her best mate to get drunk with her. Like she was ready to drink some whiskey. Lala and I, like before filming or before work, we'd go next door to the bar next door to Sir and.
Tortilla Republic?
Yeah, tortilla. Yeah. They'd give us, like, tequila shots. And, then we'd head on in. And it was fun times.
A little bit of a primer for the day.
Yeah, so it was, hey, you can basically relate that to Lala, like, walking off the show, how it felt. Yeah. Like, I walked off on our night's partying and drinking. And you walked out of just everything total. So, they both sucked. But I don't feel like she was going against me, like trying to get me to drink when I was like being sober at the time.
I don't think she was either.
Yeah, like
that's good. She seemed more just annoyed in that scene,
so
like in a little bit of an insulting way. Yeah.
Like I know you're not drinking beers, but you got anything for me? Type
like
thing.
I don't want ice cream. I'm a grown woman. Like,
I did. She had whiskey.
Yeah,
I had booze for her.
So the whiskey, I was curious about that. Someone had asked me who keeps whiskey in the fridge, and I said, well, I don't know. I don't drink, so I just never thought about that. Do you keep the whiskey in the fridge?
Freezer.
I don't. I don't keep it in either one. Yeah. I keep tequila in the freezer.
Because I know that Fireball can be chilled or not, right?
Like
but early times,
chilled.
yeah.
Do you guys want a Fireball shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Fireball in the building.
That's right. Would you
today.
get a Fireball shot, everyone? Get some ice cubes in those Sir shot glasses.
No,
let's take a break. Let's take a shot of Fireball. Take a break and
take a little break. Yeah, sounds good.
All right. We'll see what happens.
Hey,
when we get back.
let's play Top Man while they wait.
Sure, that's fine.
You should do like an intermission.
Let's go.
Wait. Before we go, you have a good sense of humor, right?
Oh, here we go.
Oh my god. Okay.
All right.
Oh god.
So this is an ad for your album.
Wait, why did we do quotations? My album. Like,
well, because this is not a real album that I'm doing an ad for. Yeah.
Okay.
This is long before Pump Sessions.
By the way,
it was,
does this for all
this
of
is
us.
long before Pump Sessions.
Yes.
Oh
yes,
my god.
indeed.
Okay.
And also, just so you know, everyone gets stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like this is not like
dude, no, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm excited.
I just want to make
I'm
sure.
excited.
Okay. All right.
This segment brought to you by Burnt Bridges, the hot new batch of bomb-ass bangers from international EDM sensation James Kennedy. James Kennedy. James Kennedy. Burnt Bridges will bust your lip with love and fury, gangsta style, yo. Featuring such legendary thumpers as Fucking Over My Friends, My Sex Is Crazy, My Hair Is Crazy, and Blokes Don't Kiss Guys. Bomb-ass Bangers is the perfect collection for ladies on the go and lads who just want to get on the show. Burnt Bridges, available exclusively at Studs Theater, Santa Monica Boulevard, West Hollywood.
That is fucking genius.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you like it.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. That's great. You got to send me that. I'll play that at a show.
Oh my god, that'd be fantastic.
Kiss guys.
Blokes don't kiss guys. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, man. Thank you. Yeah.
Top man, he's a bad man, she said. Let me on your jet and I'll get you well fed. I got the king bed, royal blue sheets. She said she'll show me love, but she ain't a groupie. London boy, Northside, course why? IBZA, Northside, no lie. Doesn't matter though, cause they can't see us. If my name Aston, you are pre-us. How we got jokes, that's pretty us. Pretty girls in the back, party bus. Just have fun though, cause I hate fuss. Takes too long and it's dumb as fuck, yeah. Hold up mate, you can't compete. I like to keep my nights real neat. Fuck all your haters, I press delete. Standing on my own ground, just 2 feet. Homie, take a seat. If I don't win, it's cause I didn't cheat. Think you know me? Nah, I didn't meet. Got the real fam around me, so I can't see, yeah.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed Top Man, the exciting taste of DJ James Kennedy's hot new single.
That's it.
Yeah, as seen performed live on Watch What Happens Live recently, he was the second musical guest ever. Actually, you know what? No, you were the third musical guest because... No, the fourth, but not proper because they didn't. I just know, but check this out. But you're in pretty good company because it was the group that did the Vanderpump Rules theme song. But before that, it was Scissor Sisters with "Let's Have a Kiki."
No way.
Yeah.
Jason did that?
Yeah, they didn't have a stage like they had for you, but it was kind of just them
promoting Magic Hour.
Yeah, exactly. So they were bartending, and then at the end of the episode, it was with one of the housewives from I think New York.
That's cool.
Yeah, real cool. So that's, a pretty good company to be in.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I'm screwing the top back on the Fireball.
So it doesn't
I
evaporate.
thought you were screwing it off. I was getting excited.
I had a question about moving on with people and forgiving and all that. Do you think that there's any point that, I would say the two of you, but I know that, Tom, you're kind of in a better place with Kristen now than you were before, in terms of like you can see each other at group settings and all that. Obviously, you're not hanging out or texting or sharing Pinterest boards. But what about you, James? Because, time's moved on. You're with Raquel. You're happy. You're working on music and everything.
Yes.
What do you think about being able to be, I guess, cool with Kristen?
I'm not cool with Kristen. I mean, Kristen's not cool with me. It's not like I give a shit really. It's like after the reunion, what was the first time I saw her in a long time? She walks right into Pump and Carter's not there, right? So she comes right to Lisa's table and sits directly across from me, to the point where legs under the table are touching. It's very uncomfortable. But then she's not fucking giving me any. I'm not there. It's like I'm fucking invisible James. And, it's like everyone says cheers and she'll ting everyone's glass except mine. She's just fucking nuts. So it's just like, whatever. She wants to play a little game.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's just whatever.
I'm glad that's the case because she took her crosshairs off me and Ariana. So I'm actually glad that she has them on you. So
you want to celebrate this? This is
this is a celebration.
You know what's funny? Kristen actually
raise your glasses high.
Kristen will actually she'll text me about a certain situation or whatever. I don't really respond to her that much.
That's weird.
Well, if it's a group, like group get-togethers or something like that, or
I don't know,
or maybe like sports betting. I know you two.
Yeah, right. About that. Exactly. I wish the best for them. I could be around them, but I don't really like. It's really weird. I just
you don't plan dinners,
no,
group dinners or anything. No. Yeah. And I was just curious how you guys were in that regard.
It's really weird when Kristen tries to tell me oh James, blah blah blah, and I'm like, Kristen, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to hear about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just shut the fuck up,
dude.
Already.
You and Kristen's relationship was by far the most toxic relationship I think I've ever seen.
So let's break that down a little bit because we hear that a lot on the show, right? You said on the reunion, I think that it was the most toxic relationship that you've been in and witnessed. But wasn't there a time when you and Kristen were really happy together and that she was sort of in a way taking care of you? I think there was some mention of that.
She likes to say taking care of me like I'm some sort of fucking baby, like some sick. I'm 21 at the time. She's 31 at the time, right? And it's just like she kind of she likes to think she'd make me breakfast and dinner and she'd feed me and she liked doing shit like that. Yeah, I guess. And there is a time, she'd say I love you before going to bed and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, we were together over a year, for God's sakes, and with every fight comes makeup all the time. So it's just it was toxic, but there was,
Did she pay all your bills and stuff?
No, what bills, bro? I mean, I paid my own fucking rent, never needed rent money, but hey, if we went to lunch, she paid for lunch. I know. So should she. So fucking should she.
I know.
I wasn't about to pay for that shit when I'm bussing and she's making dough off the show already.
It's too bad that crystal healing session didn't work for either of you.
Yeah, we really thought things were going to take a turn for the better with that.
I got like a $250 worth selenite crystal that's still like in my house right now. It's sick. So that alone was worth it. That crystal that the kind lady gave me.
That's where you turned the corner.
That made that day. That's where it was, James. I think See, that's where it all changed.
The energy from that is what brought us Top Man, is what you're trying to say.
Shit. The white Kanye.
She does try to say this. I've heard that she does try to say the same things a little bit about Carter.
Really?
Yeah. She says that she like pays all his bills and stuff and he doesn't pay rent, from what I've heard. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I've heard that. Because people, I don't know, mainly, well,
so she
I won't say.
So she should. If Carter's not making the same dough, so she should.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Sorry, Carter, but hey, how old is he? I mean, at the time.
But it doesn't surprise me because I remember literally the one time Kristen lent me she lent me like $250 or something like that. It was like $250 she lent me. And it was right before or right during season 1. And she like went over and above and beyond to like make sure and tell everyone multiple times. Like, oh, God, still waiting for Sandoval to pay me back. Like,
oh, God.
And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I paid you back like 2 weeks later.
Kristen never handed me money, nor did I ever borrow from Kristen.
I had to borrow money for like, I got into a bind and like, I would have done the same. In fact, I did do the same thing to her, but like, I'm not going to like tell people that or advertise it. Like,
I'd be at Topshop and just like pick out what I wanted and just like hand it to her. Just go sort this out, darling. I'll be downstairs waiting.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Let's go across
she
the
did kind of take care of you a little bit.
In more ways than one, Thomas. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Fuck. Can we not joke? Can we not joke?
We're laughing.
We're laughing.
I know this is this is dark, but she had in the past accused your mom of
fuck all that. She's such a crazy fucking She said the same thing about one of my old roommates too. Like she I don't even want to comment on that because she just gets wasted and starts talking so much shit. Like she said things like despicable things about so many people in this group that I won't repeat. Because it just opens up a tin of worms that just doesn't need to be touched.
I've noticed that when Kristen's mad at somebody, she will kind of like, she'll take something that might maybe happen, like her interpretation of a situation, exaggerate the ever-loving shit out of it.
It scares the shit out of me to think what
then pose it as like a fact.
Oh, God.
You know what
come
I mean?
on, who's going to take us seriously at 3 a.m. when you're fucking... Come on. I mean, that's when they're all talking shit about each other. I know because I've been there. You know, after the bars, let's all go back to whose house. Someone raises their hand. We all go back. Everyone gets shit-faced and just talks about who's not there right now. And let's talk shit about that person. And for a long time, it was me not there. So, because the whole group, they came back. They've reunited. Like, the friends are back. Stacy's back. Everyone's like in harmony except Lala and I. Like, let's be real.
I don't know if they're in harmony.
Oh, harmony, but like it's more pointed. The fingers are more pointed at Lala and I. As far as the girls go, I know Ariana got a shit into the stick too because she got shit. Like that's why I think Tom just said that. But but Ariana's never been one of the girls that has ganged up. When I say the girls, I don't mean Ariana. I mean like Katie, Kristen, Stacy.
Now, so just to be clear for the listeners, how much time would you say that you've spent with them in the last year and a half?
Me?
James more in particular.
Like I don't hang with them, but you'd be surprised. Like a lot. Like enough to know who's fighting with who and who's friends with who at the time. And it takes you to hang with one to know everything.
Because on the reunion you said something about how clearly Stassi's the boss, and so I was just curious about what that's based on.
I just mean like she's always like just made herself like leader of the crew, like from when she was on the show in the beginning to leaving to coming back and wiggling her way to the top again.
I don't think that she's definitely not at the top again, and B, I did not see that.
That's
happening.
how I saw as an outsider. I guess. Because
I think Katie was definitely more of the ringleader this this last
right,
season.
but they were just
for
being
sure.
nice to her because she's getting married and it's ain't her time. It's like, fucking shut up.
It seems like Stassi's openness and honesty makes me think that she's not as manipulative. Because I feel like even if there's editing, there's not a point where I see kind of like another side of
Honestly,
her.
I don't really have
yeah.
anything bad to say about Stassi.
Oh, no,
like,
I'm just like
she's made fun of me or like
my
said bad
impression,
things, but it's like all just because I can understand
Well, she
why.
definitely-
I get what
she-
you mean, though.
She
shit
does.
talker.
No, I totally. I get what you're saying. I definitely. Yeah, I've seen a change in Stassi. She's definitely become a little bit more self-aware, and she's definitely, become a little less egotistical. Stassi used to be more like expecting people to inherit her grudges a little bit more than what she is now.
Yes.
But now she definitely, like this past season, she definitely inherited Katie's
taste.
grudges.
She gets a taste
She
of what
definitely
we used
inherited
to.
Katie's grudges
She
way
likes the
more
blood.
than the other way around.
Yeah, she wanted everyone to support her.
Because
in
she
the
had never
past, and now
really
it's
even like talked to Lala. She had never really even but she definitely like went out of her way to like go against Lala, attack Lala,
Yeah.
try to like sabotage her. And it was strictly because of Katie.
Well, do you think that it's because of sort of a dictate from Katie, or more that she is upset by how she's perceiving this person making her friend feel?
I don't necessarily
She came
know.
crawling back, and if you hate someone as much as
As seen by your
your best
invitation on
friend,
the,
it's like, oh, not only your back, but you have my back too. So yes. The more she hated Lala, the happier it made Katie, I think.
the crawling back was funny.
Yes, it was
thank you very
epic.
much. Thank you.
It was
well,
epic.
you stealing the show on the first reunion episode.
Thank you,
was
appreciate
good.
that.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
it was Stassi basically. It was kind of hypocritical, she couldn't she just did the same thing that she's like blaming Lala for, is what I'm just trying to say.
In what way?
In the way of like just coming back and blaming her for like walking off or anything that Lala did wrong, like Stassi would just call her out for it. And I think it just pleased Katie because at the time Katie just hates Lala.
Someone compared Lala keeping the guy off the show with Stassi keeping the guy
was
off the
me.
show. Yeah, right. Well, thanks. I thought Stassi's response was really interesting and succinct in that. She said, well, fine. Well, however you class that, I had to answer for it. She does too, which I think leads back to what you were saying before about everyone's going to bleed out for the show.
And I agreed with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, there's a lot of false.
I'm really glad that
equivalencies.
Stassi she took the words right out of my mouth. And I referred to Stassi as an example of how it doesn't work.
Right.
Stassi tried to do that shit season 3, tried to come in like, I'm better than you, whatever. I have this like side other life, like with my better than you boyfriend, better than you relationship. Like I'll just come into Sir and gloat about how like my statement necklace business is going so good and like how you guys are still stuck, like serving me a Pinot Grigio, but it didn't work. And then Stassi, had to come crawling back and
She had what I like to refer to as the come to Jesus moment, where she realized not just
Yeah.
on the show, but it doesn't work in your life to try to basically treat people like that. And also, as you sort of teased out in the reunion, the reason for that was because Patrick, while he might have been a great guy, whatever you want to say, Nikolai loves him, wasn't really great for her because he was basically shading her on what she did for a living, her
Dude,
whole life.
yeah. That wasn't
exactly
healthy.
that show. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and that show has been huge for every single one of us.
Yeah.
It's been the biggest thing any of us have done. And for somebody to fucking throw shade towards that and like
And also basically manipulate someone who's involved in it
Yeah.
to the point that they are,
walk away from the show.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's 100% his fault, but he definitely had some part of it.
He was the
and that's
engine
why,
in that,
and that's
yeah.
why I said that, in this episode of the reunion, I'm like, that's really fucked up. And I
Yeah.
wanted to and I wanted to tell Stassi that, because that, again, that's the thing is like, yeah, me and Stassi might butt heads, but I know in that situation, that was a shitty situation, and he was definitely, not helping.
And also, I think in a weird way, it shows Stassi's general vulnerability that she kept hidden prior to that.
Yeah.
But I think that speaks to sort of the not new Stassi, because I know some people have an issue with new or old Stassi not being different.
It's only one Stassi. Come on.
Yeah.
But that's the version of her that we see now, the more open one, that is even funnier in the little interview bits, in the little comments, because she's being more real. She's being really herself.
Yeah, I think so. She's still.
James smirked at that, so I'd like to get James's thoughts.
Go ahead, James.
I don't honestly find her funny at all. Like, I don't think her interviews are funny. I don't think she's clever.
Who do you think is funny on the show?
I think I'm really funny.
So in your list, you're number one. Who's the 2, 3, 4, and 5?
I didn't say number one. Okay, I'm not Jax.
In terms of your funny level, I'm saying on your personal comedy meter, on your laugh-o-meter.
Comedy. I mean, shit. Tom could be really funny. Ariana could be really funny. Like, I don't know.
You have to take comedy seriously.
Jax has some moments too. You know, even Brittany has some funny.
I think the
moments.
funniest moments on our show are the moments where nobody is trying to be funny. I think the funniest person who's actually trying to be funny on our show is probably Schwartz.
Yeah. He's hilarious, but he's naturally like funny as fuck.
Yeah, but as far as like funny moments happening, like I think James is probably one of the funniest. He's not trying to be funny. And then I think like
sometimes it's people laughing at me rather than with me, but that's also part of why it's funny.
Definitely laughing at you.
I can laugh at that.
Well,
people definitely laughing at me too. A lot.
This segment brought to you by Blokes Don't Kiss Guys, the hilarious new comedy starring James Kennedy as the British expat who methinks doth protest too much. Blokes Don't Kiss Guys, this fall on Logo.
Oh, you know what I wanted to bring up?
What's that?
I wanted to bring up that fucking NDA, which pissed me off.
I'm happy to talk about that. Yeah.
So fucking bad.
Yeah.
That shit pissed me off because, dude, first of all, if James or anybody on the show gave me an NDA, if anybody gives me an NDA, besides like, okay, look, if I'm at fucking Charlie Sheen's house and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and like, you know, it's my only time at Charlie Sheen's house and I know some weird shit's happening and like they want me to sign an NDA that I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll sign that shit. Fine.
Sure.
But like if any single cast member would ever give me an NDA, I would literally fucking, dude, first of all, I probably would have told production immediately. I would have told my fucking lawyer, my manager, like, but I wouldn't even have, before I did any of that, I would have literally told them to eat a fucking dick. Like, anybody. Like, and the fact that, like, I mean, I get some tweets sometimes that are like, you know, they signed the NDA. It's like, dude, there is no fucking way me of all people would have ever fucking signed that NDA.
Right. What purpose would it serve you?
Exactly. No purpose. Like, why would I ever sign something that would, like, where I could get in trouble for like talking about a fellow cast member? Like, what the fuck? Like, never. And Lala even said that. Like, she knows, like, Lala knows that if she gave me an NDA, like, I would have, like, metaphorically grabbed her by her throat and shoved it down her throat.
Well, I think that's kind of what the lies that Blight said earlier.
And thinking about NDAs, I mean, it's coming from somebody like if Bravo has you sign an NDA and you break it, you owe them millions. Is Lala writing an NDA like that where you're going to owe her millions? It's probably more likely the alleged married man that she's dating who doesn't want anything told. Like, that's when you're going to have to pay for
either way.
you say.
Like, I'll just be like, all right, well, if I have to sign an NDA to be here, I'll just see you later. Like, I don't need to fucking be here. Mm-hmm. Bye.
Yeah, I think the only kind of people that would be susceptible to that, in that specific context, Lala or her alleged boyfriend, whatever, it would be someone like, I don't know them personally, but like a Gigi or Ellie or something like that. Like, and I'm just throwing those names out there because they're people that maybe want to be floating in that environment, don't have really anything else that would jeopardize. Yeah.
Bravo's never given us an NDA. They're just like, guys, like, don't
fuck this up. Okay.
Yeah, like, don't ruin the show. Don't ruin things that are coming up.
As an example.
Yeah, no, but it would have, like you say, but it would have to be a large company. Like, for instance, if you worked on Lord of the Rings, you'd have to sign something to, or not to give away, but certainly not like partying with Lala.
Like,
So that whole explanation was a bit silly.
Yeah, I'm like, dude.
But I want to make sure that we get to some of the other stuff with you, James, this year, and specifically the lead up to you getting fired. What do you think happened when you were getting a little carried away at the restaurants?
You know, I mean, just everybody, I don't know, I was just going through, I don't know, partying, I guess, too much doing work.
I can tell you that day in particular, Ken is like the fucking coolest dude. He is so chill. He's always in a great mood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he's always great. But like, dude, every once in a while, Ken gets like on one. I've seen him just be like fucking mean and mad.
Well, this is a guy.
certain
This is a guy
points.
who had to basically deal with gangsters in London opening clubs in the 70s. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he succeeded in a very difficult line of
Yeah.
business, right?
Yeah, he's fucking boss. He's a boss. Yeah.
But he just every once in a while, like from working for them, like I can tell you, like out of the 8 years, 8 years, I don't even know how many years, I've seen him be this way probably like 4 or 5 times, where he's just like, dudes, like he's just having a fucking bad day. He's on one. And one of those days was actually the day that
James Kennedy got the axe.
you got fired. Yeah.
That was the day.
Dude, he was on one that day. He was not putting up with any
not
shit.
happy.
Dude, you heard him like when they were getting into the car, like he's like,
knock your spark out.
yeah, dude, he was fucking dude.
Knock you fuck out. Boy.
I love that.
I love it. He was so mad. One of my favorite things.
scared
He
as-
was
I was scared as fuck.
fuming.
And it was just your mic pack that was on. The cameras were inside filming. It was amazing.
Well, that's my favorite moment in any show is when they're like, production's not even really. There's one mic pack. There's an incident that no one is even sort of aware is
and
being filmed.
they're so excited that
Yeah.
it's caught on camera.
Hey, shit, that's why. I mean, you know, people have like tried to come on this show and like it doesn't stick around, because if it's not real, it doesn't happen. Then
Yeah. Well, that's one of
Yeah.
the things too about the show. Above anything else, it's real.
on and off camera myself. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So that day, that's the day you were getting shots from Sandoval.
And argument with Gigi, if that was all.
Yeah. Everyone was pretty much just fighting at the time. You know, there was a lot of words being said across the room, and I had a little bit too much to drink, and
Yeah.
I was the one that had the last straw. You know, I was the one that was on my last
Chance.
chance.
I had a feeling that Lisa was ready to give you another chance, but the fact that
Something got to Lisa. I'm thinking it was Jack. Something got to Lisa to the point where when you make Lisa feel stupid, that's when she doesn't like it. You know, she can give me as many chances as she wants. However, I think Jax came up to Lisa and was like, "Hey, Lisa, you know, like it's been many chances with James, and he knew what he was doing." I think I'm not blaming Jax for it right now, but someone did, and I'm pretty sure it was him, but I don't know.
Well, she seems really hung up too with just drinking on the job. Aside from what happened,
She's not that
Is
bad
she
about
not?
it. Ken's not even that big. It doesn't have that big of an issue. Their biggest thing, this is what their thing is. I can tell you right now. If you create a scene in the restaurant,
Oh, you're fucked.
yeah.
it doesn't matter if you've had 1 drink, 8 drinks, no drinks. If you create an embarrassing scene, like, dude, I've worked with them. I've had nothing but a pretty much stellar record. But if I literally took my fucking pants off or like got naked and ran out of the restaurant, doesn't matter what I had to drink. Like my job would probably be, I would be fired immediately. Like that's their biggest thing is like, they can deal with shit, but if you like if you cause the customers
Disrespect
there
the restaurant
to feel
If you're causing a
uncomfortable,
ruckus
Yeah.
during work hours,
Yeah.
and that's what I did wrong. I'm the main guy that does that.
it's the same thing that Kristen did when she's yelling to suck a dick and all that shit.
The manageress fight.
Yeah, dude.
Well, and I think actually, whether Jax was in her ear or not about that, no matter what Jax may have said to her, I really felt from watching it that it was Ken after
Yeah,
your interaction on the street that just
Ken was
said,
pissed.
that was like, look,
Ken said you're
Lisa, that's it.
Yeah,
'Cause I think
yeah,
Jax
Ken
could have said
said-
whatever
Ken
he
said.
wanted, and Lisa just would have
Ken
kept.
definitely
Right,
was.
yeah. Ken was, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Shit.
You just picked the wrong day to like cause a scene, basically.
This segment brought to you by Love Bracelets, the chilling new film from legendary director Randall Kleiser, starring Poot Lovato as Blah Blah, a girl who has to invent a decoy boyfriend to throw the world off the scent of her married sugar daddy, a paranoid and highly litigious executive who calls the shots for his company and for his girl. Original score by Triumph's Rick Emmett, co-starring Randall Battenkoff as Blah Blah's DJ friend Jimmy. Love Bracelets. You'll cry your eyes out from laughing your head off. Love Bracelets, coming this spring to Shudder.
I thought it was interesting that you brought up on the reunion, James, that you apologized to Katie and Schwartz. And I mean, we didn't get to see that, but how did you go about making that happen?
Schwartz is a super nice guy, so like when he saw me, every time he sees me, even if he's like mad or something happened, you know, he'll still smile and be like, "Hey, buddy," you know. So you know, it's obviously a sorry comes out naturally right there because I just feel like accountable for my actions. And, you know, he's just like a little sweetie pie. So I had to say sorry to him. He's like, hey, it's okay, man. He's just like lighthearted with everything, which is like a really nice thing.
Yeah.
So I just didn't feel very awkward. You know, Katie just, I don't think she gives a fuck, you know. I could say sorry, I could not, and I don't think she even cares. But I still said it just out of respect for Shorts as well. And yeah, it wasn't really that hard of a thing. I said it again on the reunion, and you know, it's like obviously I was just pissed off at the time, and I know how to get under people's skin and what to say to piss people off.
But you seem like you've done a bit of a, to use a favorite phrase amongst the cast, bit of an apology tour, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, come see me during the tour.
And speaking of touring,
James Kennedy, the apology tour.
the apology tour is making a big stop soon at Coachella, right? Or in the surrounding area. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so catch James Kennedy all 3 days at Coachella. I'm DJing at the Mila Day Club, which is basically a massive mansion. We've got pool, jacuzzi, catered food.
How far away is that from
guests.
How far away is that from the grounds?
It's like 2.2 miles, I think.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's a perfect walk from it's like 5 minutes from actually exiting the polo field. So it's like right around the area.
It's good you're not in Palm Springs.
You can, out in Palm Springs, 13th, 14th, and 15th. We're going from 12 o'clock to 7 a.m. all 3 days. You can find out more information.
No, it's not in Palm Springs.
It's at Coachella.
Yeah, it's at Coachella. Palm Springs is like 40 minutes.
Oh, okay, well.
I'm saying it's good that it's not in Palm Springs.
India, it's in India.
Yeah, India.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
You can catch all the full details on my Instagram right now, at It's James Kennedy. It's also on my Facebook and Twitter.
New sunglasses line too.
Yeah, dropping sunglasses line. Livid. Are you mad? Let's go. So this is season 2 of like a glasses collaboration I'm doing with a friend called Daryl, Optics by Parker. Yeah, we work on like little designs, and he's got a manufacturer, and yeah, we're making glasses right now. I'm making music. We're living life. We're living life. It's good though. It's good fun.
Is that a Hulk Hogan VHS that I see over there?
Oh, yeah, not just that. Those are music videos for the second wrestling album. There was 2 wrestling albums done by the WWF, and for the second one, they decided to do videos for all of them.
Is that called? It's called Pile Driver.
Pile Driver, that's right. Yeah,
and it's on sale. It was on sale for $19.99.
Yeah, $19.99, quite a deal.
That came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
VHS was expensive back then. Yeah.
Damn.
And that was a good price for VHS back in the 80s, because in the 80s they could charge, before they had sell-through, which was basically $19.99 or under, tapes would go for like $60. You can see old ads in old Rolling Stones for like...
Yeah, players were so
like
expensive.
Beverly Hills Cop, new on tape, $49.98, which in $1985.
That's like $100 and something.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. What were you going to say, James? Speaking of sales?
Speaking of $19.99, if you enter promo code Chella on opticsbyparker.com under my thing, you get a discount for Coachella. Your glasses will be delivered before the festival. And if you're wearing them at Coachella and you come up to me, I swear, like, we're going to have a good time. Shots on me for sure.
Awesome.
Blythe had a question before we taped, actually before you guys showed up, about where your music is being distributed through now, because I know you were managed by Ken and Lisa, right?
I mean, you know, Ken just like managed like some of my... He just kind of like looked after me. Like it was kind of like a thing. Like he was like a busboy 1 second, and like now I can see like some of the talent
had to do with,
he
like,
has.
the show and stuff like that.
He wanted
right?
to keep me under his belt. Yeah, he didn't want me flying off somewhere after like something maybe big would happen. So, but I manage myself. I don't have a manager. You know, I would distribute my music under my own label.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all. I do it all myself, I guess. Yeah, I book a lot of my gigs like through Instagram and stuff. Obviously, like shout out Russell Stewart. He's obviously helped me booking gigs over the years. I've got like 5 different managers that I just don't sign contracts. It's like book me 15%, take your cut, and and I got 10 people that'll do that for me. So it's like it's a movement. It's a James Kennedy team, you know.
The movement, the DJ James Kennedy movement.
I wanted to ask you guys something.
Yeah,
what did you think of Stassi's little brother being on the reunion?
We thought it was funny.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was cute. I like Nikolai. I think he's an interesting kid. And I think it was kind of cute and fun to have that brought back on the reunion.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean,
What
it's
about
cute
you?
to have...
Do you wanna know what
Tom, tell us what you thought.
I think I
I
know your opinion.
My little crystal ball is telling me that you have a differing opinion to
that. Well, let's put it this way. I don't mind him being on the show. I mean, I feel like we get to know a lot of Stassi's family on the show. But the thing is, our reunion is not an opportunity for Nikolai to come out and drop his new catchphrase, or
what's the new? What is the catchphrase?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell is.
Okay.
Well, there's so little time in general to put so much on.
There's
so
also, there's also the thing of like, I remember when I was 12 years old in 6th grade, and I didn't pretend like to talk like I was 7. My brother.
His young character?
Did you bash Nikolai?
My brother.
He's a
It's kind of
child.
like, it's kind of straight out. Have you guys ever seen?
Shawshank Redemption?
No. Vanessa Bayer, when she did that skit on SNL about her childhood acting class,
Yes. Yeah.
and when she goes on the news,
Here's the news.
It's the news. Yeah.
like it
Never
kind
saw
of,
it.
it kind of reminds me.
You hit that
of,
note perfect, by the way.
It kind of reminds me of that. Like when I was 12 years old and in 6th grade, like I had, toppled a bully. I wasn't pretending like to talk. Like I was 7 years old, and also. One thing they didn't show on that episode of the reunion was how a self-proclaimed psychologist got really heated, talked a bunch of shit to Ariana and to me.
Who's it? Wait, what do you?
Nikolai did.
So are you more mad that he said things you guys didn't agree with?
No, it's just like my brother's a doctor and psychologist who went through 10 years of school and thousands of clinical hours, and I have somebody who is like talking like this, and I just think that you need to like treat women better. And like, you know what he said to Kristen?
What?
He goes, Kristen, you're perfect.
Oh,
That's what he said. He said, what kind of issues does Kristen have? He's like, oh, she's perfect. She's fine. And then that's why they cut that out, by the way.
Okay, I was wondering if I had a stroke and forgot that part.
No. They cut that out. They also cut out the things that he said to me because they were really mean and heated. And they cut out about 80% of what he said to Ariana because it was really mean and heated.
He was digging for
Really?
He was like really digging in.
So we're not seeing his
And I'm like,
nasty
dude,
side.
when he's sitting there doing this, I actually was like really pissed off because I'm like, dude, you're 12 years old, you're not 7 anymore, and don't think you can talk shit to my girlfriend without the risk of getting drop kicked off the fucking planet.
Man. Wait, I got a question, just a technicality question, I think. When you say he's talking like he's 7, I'm confused because isn't it the sort of the premise that he's talking like he's like a 28-year-old doctorate student in the way of he's sort of assessing people and stuff?
I'm saying when I was 12 years old in 6th grade,
Yeah.
I did not talk like this.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I wasn't like, you just need to treat women better. Like, I didn't talk like that. I talked like I do now.
Well,
I'm a little more educated, but like I still had the same tone of voice that I do now.
Well, maybe he has a little bit of an affect. That's his personality and what he developed, or affectation.
I
whatever.
don't give a fuck.
I
It's
know.
just like, it's no place.
I think that's clear.
Given he was like 12, it's just like
I just know that like, you cut back to him at 7 years old. Now, mind you, when you're 10 years old, 1 year is 1/10 of your life. When you're 30 years old, 1 year is 1/30th of your life. There is a whole shitload of growing that happens between the ages of 7 and 12. That's almost double the time. So what I'm saying is, why are you still talking the same way with the same, like, I'm a naive little kid inflection? You know what I mean? Like, when I was in 5th grade, I was like trying to make out with girls. Like when I was in 6th grade, I was like going to the roller rink and like being like, Mom, get away from me. I'm trying to like have a girlfriend, like, and couple skating and all that kind of stuff.
the
like,
bowl and Doritos.
Go for it. Yeah.
I'm
Do
gonna,
we need a refill? We have more.
we'll see how long Tom takes to finish about Nikolai. I got half a bowl,
James,
people.
I'll go get the bag.
Thank you. Bring a straw for this fireball too.
I don't mind if some 8-year-old, like, first of all, he should have never been on there to begin with because I just found the whole thing completely inappropriate. And to refer to him as like a young psychologist who's wise beyond his years. When I was his age, I was wise beyond him. So like, he's not really that wise beyond his years. He seems extremely sheltered and like you know, maybe he'll hit puberty at 18. I don't know. But like,
Ooh,
but I'm just
man.
saying, like, he just seems very like, you gotta treat a girl well. It's like, yeah, 2 + 2 is 4. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, dude, he's not wise beyond his years.
Well, but maybe that's the gag.
But like, why are we having him on and wasting time?
Get mad at evolution, not
Yeah,
Stassi's
all
family.
right. But like, don't come on there and talk shit to me and think
Yeah.
it's okay. Like, you also are not 7 years old. You're 12 years old.
Yeah.
And like, if I talk shit to somebody when I was 12 years old, I had to deal with them. Like, they'd fucking kick my ass.
Yeah.
And I did get my ass kicked at 12 years old.
I have a question about how Nikolai's image of you was shaped. Now, the last time I think we saw you guys together on the show was, and obviously this is on the show, so this is not life total, was back at Arrowhead when you were having issues with Kristen, right?
Yeah.
So did you ever spend more time with him, or does Nikolai watch the show, or?
He watches the show. He listens to his sister and other people that hang out with or around his sister. And so he basically...
And I don't blame him for that. I mean, fucking
And that's
hell,
fine.
Star
Hey,
Seeds
that's
is-
fine.
Let
That's-
the kid talk. He said I belong in a clinic or some shit. Like,
Yeah, that's-
I don't give a fuck what the little shit
I know.
said.
think
That's fine, but like, don't give...
I was about to turn around as a joke and be like, "Hey, you shut the fuck up, little kid." You know, like, I was about to just say, scare the shit out of you know what I mean? Because like that's just where I was.
person.
That's where I was in my head. But then everyone would be like, "How dare you talk to a child like that?" And I don't need to dig myself a deeper hole. You know, I say jokes most of the time because I just think it's gonna be fucking hilarious if my mom actually says the one thing everyone's thinking. You know,
Like,
Yeah,
what's the worst thing you
I
can
didn't
say?
get quite as upset. Yeah, like if I just turn around like real serious face, like, "Hey, you shut the fuck up, little kid." You know, he would be like, he wouldn't know what the fuck to do. You know, bless his heart. You know, but I just like took it, like, you know, he had it all prepared. And, you know, I know why Tom is so angry about this, though.
No, because the bit is
it's-
tired.
it's-
The bit is tired.
He was
Yeah.
the hardest on Tom and Ariana. Ariana and
Yeah.
Aiden.
The bit is also like not funny. It's like tired, and it's also a waste of time.
It was
Like,
uncomfortable. It was very
It
uncomfortable.
was really awkward. It was uncomfortable, and it was uncalled for. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't need him. Like, we had way better.
I felt
more
more
important
awkward
shit.
with Nikolai and what he would say than when
Exactly.
Shay came onto stage.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was fucking weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any more questions for James? He's getting antsy.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. I'm
kidding.
I have Access Hollywood that are ready to interview me, so I gotta step out.
Right.
No, I have Access Hollywood that's ready to interview me.
And plus, hey, you know, James Kennedy's a busy man. I don't interview with many people, so
We're honored that
this
you
is,
came on our podcast.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's by
Thank you.
choice.
So this is your first podcast, really?
yeah. And I normally do interviews because people just kind of annoy me, but I kind of like you guys.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah,
Well, back at
I
you.
had fun, and
Same.
you guys fed me some Fireball, so
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Well, same here. Thanks a lot for joining us. And I guess that does it. One last thing.
And
What-
I'll be back, like whenever.
Yeah.
Now that I know that we were all chilling, I'll be back
We'll
as long
look
as Tom
forward to
comes
it.
with me, not
Sure.
alone.
I think
Good
you should
vibe.
do it with Jax.
Yeah, that could be fun.
That would definitely be fun. Yeah.
Cool.
All right,
Well, he
cool.
is right upstairs, so.
That's true.
Shut the fuck up.
He's
Oh,
like-
yeah.
oh yeah,
Let's
this
hear
is the
it.
same building
Shut
that
the
Katie and
fuck
Tom
up.
and Jackson and Brittany live
Give me
in.
your broom. I'm gonna start. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Find us on Instagram and Twitter at Pump Rules Pod, or go to pumprolespodcast.com for more information. Email pumprolespodcast@gmail.com and follow on Facebook at facebook.com/pumprolespodcast. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.